Minute.
Are you able to join?
Yes, I'm on.
Hi, Diane. We're welcoming everybody, and we just went through some housekeeping. When you're ready, we invite you to open the session.
Thank you so much. I am so sorry, everyone. I was having a little bit of a technical glitch this morning that I didn't anticipate. So my apologies. Thank you all for being here. I sincerely appreciate it. This is a really special moment for us, for all of us. We know that this is a significant issue that we must pay attention to. And it's wonderful to have so many of you joining us today. And thank you sincerely for being here. Our session today is really held as a side event for the Global Refugee Forum in 2023, or the GRF. That will be held 13th to the 15th of December in Geneva, Switzerland. And as many of you know, the GRF is the world's largest international gathering of refugees and people who are concerned about the lives of refugees, where states and stakeholders will announce concrete pledges and contributions, highlight the progress that has been made, share effective practices, and really take stock of the challenges and opportunities that lay ahead. But the really special thing about this is it's a moment in time where refugees can share their concerns as well as their hopes and dreams, and they'll be placed at the center of this global agenda. And that is special. That's something we should really be happy about and celebrate. And we need more moments like this. We know that this is urgent. We need refugees and their situations to be placed on at the center of many agendas. So we're very happy that this time has come. We hope that this session today will actually stimulate our thinking about this serious issue and help us to prepare for the GRF. So many people around the world are facing forced migration, the challenges of being in a refugee status. And I like to say it that way, being in a refugee status. These are people, indeed. We have to label a little bit refugees around the status, but these are people. These are our brothers and sisters across the world who we should be caring about and caring for. And we know that this is an issue. There are millions of people who are in this status. At last count, I think it was 114 million people. And that as well should be of a huge concern to us. And these numbers are exponentially rising. This isn't something that is going away or somebody has found a magical solution to. The numbers are increasing. It's disheartening to know that every day more and more people, including, of course, children and families, are leaving their homes behind and uprooting their lives to find safety, security, and stability. And I know so many of you on today have either been in this type of situation yourselves, know somebody who has been in this situation, or are working to really support this cause. Therefore, the GRF really, it's organizations that have been asked to make pledges to ensure that action just isn't spoken, but that action is taken. I'm going to say that again. Action is just not spoken or written down on a piece of paper, but that action is taken. The focus of our work here at CE International and how we sort of intersect with this is really the right to education. The pledges that we'll all make at the GRF center around the rights of refugees, human rights. And we particularly center, we obviously are big supporters of everybody being able to access what they need to fulfill their own human rights. But we also focus on this right to education. Education is so important. And we know that even in difficult situations, that we need to think about education. It offers hope. Education offers hope because learning and growing helps us to think about ourselves and about the future. That's so important. We firmly believe everyone has the right to access education. In closing, I'd just like to say it's of interest to all of us with Childhood Education International, CE International for short, that we actually have a history of working with and supporting refugees. If you go way back in our history and you look to World War II, this organization actually helped to send supplies and support the refugees from that period of time. And we have continued onwards, recognizing and trying to work on making sure that refugees have safe havens, safe places to be and to live, and that their rights are fulfilled. We do recognize the importance of the GRF, in fact, in December, to galvanize governments, communities, stakeholders, and individuals around efforts to include refugees in national systems so that they can live productive lives and thrive. We really need to focus on our own humanity, right? What are we if we can't commit to supporting and helping others? So I welcome today our distinguished panel. We're going to have time for listening. We're going to have time to listen to their stories. And I welcome that distinguished panel today who's with us. So thank you for being here today to prepare for the GRF with us. If you or your organization isn't a part of the GRF, obviously you can stay abreast of what's happening at the GRF. I imagine there'll be postings on the website, there'll be news releases about the GRF, but you as well can take this idea of pledges back to your organization. Ask your organization, it doesn't matter whether it's formally submitted to the GRF or not, but ask your organization to make a pledge. Weave that pledge into your strategic plan. Commit to do something, commit to take action. So with that, I thank you again very much for being with us, and I'm going to turn it over to Yvette Murphy, who is our Senior Technical Advisor at Childhood Education International. Thank you so much, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Diane, for setting the context and providing the background for today's session. Diane is our CEO of CE International. Again, my name is Yvette Murphy, Senior Technical Advisor for Global Education, and I, along with my colleague Meg Riley, who is Senior Program Manager for the Center for Professional Learning, will be facilitating our session today. And through our panel discussion with our distinguished guests who are teaching and learning in a variety of displacement contexts, we hope to have all of you think about refugee education and its associated challenges with a fresh perspective so that you may be inspired with renewed commitment for the Global Refugee Forum just a couple of weeks away, and of course, for the necessary work beyond. My role, I'll be providing a little bit of background about the forum and the Education Alliance, as well as CE International. Meg will then introduce our panelists and moderate the discussion. And we will then present Sea International's pledges that will be submitted to the GRF. We have here some background. All of us have just different experiences with the Global Refugee Forum. Diane has already talked about what it is. It is the largest gathering on refugees that meets every 4 years, bringing together multiple stakeholders, host communities, more importantly, the refugee community and those in context of displacement, to have their voices heard and come together in order to address the objectives set out in the Global Compact on Refugees. And we encourage you to look up those objectives. The GRF Education Alliance is an alliance of 160 stakeholders that recognizes the central role of education towards achieving the Global Compact, and it promotes the dignity, wellness, social cohesion, and resilience of those most impacted by refugee displacement, resettlement, and immigration and migration, and the communities in which they live. They work collectively to ensure refugee learners of all ages have access to learning opportunities and are included in national education systems. As Diane was saying, Sea International, we have a long tradition of working with refugees and supporting teachers in refugee contexts and in crisis contexts. Since 1892, Childhood Education International has been changing children's lives for the better. In 2021, the Center for Professional Learning, formerly with the Carey Institute, became a core program of Sea International. And many of you might be familiar with their work, and we're very proud to have them a part of Sea International today. Sea International, we believe in co-creation and working collectively with technical experts, country leads, and advisors from around the world in order to achieve our mission to develop and amplify innovative solutions to education challenges that affirm children's learning and development as the pathway to sustainable futures for all. We also hold consultative status with the United Nations through the Economic and Social Council, or ECOSOC, and we are an NGO partner with UNESCO. I'm going to now turn it over to my colleague, Meg Riley, who will introduce our wonderful guests and moderate our discussion with them.
Hello, thank you so much, Yvette. Thank you, Diane. So excited to present the 3 panelists we have here, just exceptional, incredible human beings. We are so fortunate to have them. And they are going to introduce themselves. So we'll start with Tatiana, and then go to Vianney, and then Sarah. So Tatiana, if you will take it away and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Meg. Hi all, I'm happy to be here today. So my name is Tatiana Konovalenko. I'm from the village Konstantinivka in Melitopol region. It's in Ukraine. Now my native village is occupied by Russian soldiers. So I moved to Zaporizhia in April 2022. It's just 120 kilometers from my native village. Zaporizhia is close to the war hostilities and is regularly shelled. I'm an internally displaced person now. I go on my working at Bogdan Khmelnytsky Melitopol State Pedagogical University. Now I am a vice rector for research innovations and international cooperation, and I am also an associate professor of the Department of Germanic Languages Teaching Methods at my university. The university is also relocated to Zaporizhia, but all buildings, library, gymnasiums, equipment, and all university property were also occupied by soldiers. And now our university functions in online mode. Before the war, I was a dean of philological faculty and taught English and methods of teaching English at my department. Besides of my favorite job, teaching, I had to do a lot of administrative work, with papers, meetings, accreditation, or organizational issues. When the war started, I supported our students, especially those staying in the hostel, and my colleagues. For some of my students, for some of my colleagues, I organized an opportunity to leave the occupied city because that wasn't an easy thing to leave. Our staff became less during the war, so I had to change my main position, and but I still go on my teaching, and that's great. This year, I have been participant of professional development for instructors or pre-service teachers project supported by Childhood Education International and the Regional English Language Office, U.S. Embassy in Kyiv. Due to the project, I have got multiple opportunities for my personal and professional development. I broadened my professional network and participated in such events as online courses aimed at social and emotional learning, and psychosocial support for quality holistic learning, that it's extremely important now. Virtual and face-to-face meetings, then workshops with colleagues, famous methodologists, researchers, practitioners, TESOL leaders. I took part in numerous surveys also. I tried my hand at writing for the blog of Childhood Education International and have got a grant for creating my own blog for English teachers beginners. And together with other colleagues, we have prepared several successful proposals for TESOL conferences and are going to participate in it in 2024. I was a presenter at TESOL New York in September this year, and we wrote a chapter for Voices of Courage and Vulnerability book about education during the war in Ukraine. I also joined the series of webinars for EFL teachers organized by Childhood Education International within our TESOL Faculty United for Ukraine community. We have pages in social media, disseminate our new knowledge and skills developed during the project. And we go on improving our teaching materials, syllabi, teaching methods and techniques. We are preparing a monograph on using modern information communication technologies in teaching English during the war. To summarize, I'd like to say that cooperation with Childhood Education International means wonderful support of non-stop development, inspiration, and success. And that is very important for us to go on our professional development to improve the quality of our education. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tatiana. DNA, you will introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving me the floor. And thank you for those who have spoken before. And I greet everybody following us now. My name is Vianney Mtabavuma. I'm a Burundian refugee and a teacher in Kakuma for 11 years. Kakuma is a refugee camp in Turkana County, that is northern west of Kenya. I have worked for Lutheran World Federation. This is a teacher, of course, Window International Kenya, and Jesuit Refugee Services. Those are INGOs, respectively, in charge of secondary education from 2010 up to now. Okay, beside that, I'm the coordinator of the Francophone Education Association of Kakuma. I teach French, indeed, because, you know, the other way around is possible when we go back. Our children should not find themselves strangers back in their countries. And since February this year, I have been working for InZone Kakuma. InZone is a humanitarian branch of Geneva University, which offers opportunities to refugees who complete their secondary education, but who cannot afford education fees in local universities of Kenya, and those who don't qualify for the very few available scholarships. Yeah, I'm also a senior fellow at Quality Holistic Learning Project, an opportunity under Refugee Educate Academy, Center for Professional Learning and Childhood Education International. And I chose this one because I was inspired by the desire to learn suitable teaching and learning approaches for this very peculiar learning context. Indeed, it came at the right time when corporal punishment was officially abolished in Kenya. It was the time when we would observe many students with problem behaviors, which would in many cases lead to dropping out. Therefore, it was just learning. I mean, this project, it was all about teaching, learning by ourselves through active participation in regular Zoom discussion meetings, taking roles, leading tasks, journaling, keeping in touch using new communication technology, acquisition of the soft skills, acquisition of the, okay, sorry.
You were mentioning
In
soft
active
skills.
regular Zoom meetings, I was saying that acquisition of the soft skills and daily routines. So daily routines were not taught as such, but we were just observing the way we have to hold our students when we are teaching. And the practice was very important because we participate in the co-producing of open education resources that fit this emergency setup and any emergency setup indeed. Exactly the same way, our learners should be led to gain autonomy in their learning tasks. This means gathering appropriate teaching learning strategies that motivate learners to work in teams, bringing them back to studies and think creatively. Thank you.
Thank you so much, VNA. Sarah, you want to come in?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you all for attending. It's a pleasure to be speaking here today. So my name is Sarah Kassab. I'm a Palestinian refugee, and I have been living and residing in Lebanon. So this is where I am currently working. I work as an education officer under the project Kitabi, which is a project that works in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, the Lebanese Ministry of Education, in order to improve learning and teaching in the public sector. I am also, I'm pursuing my master's degree here in Lebanon. And my main focus is conceptual change and multilingualism, which is a way to create an inclusive education, especially in rural areas in Lebanon. I have also had the pleasure to work with Childhood Education International under the project, with CPL under the project Quality Holistic Learning for more than 2 years in Lebanon. And I'm currently a senior project consultant at the current project in Lebanon, which is QHPLL, Quality Holistic Professional Learning in Lebanon, which was a great opportunity to connect with educators from different backgrounds in Lebanon and to co-create and co-lead professional development for teachers in order to create spaces for teachers to improve the quality of the education that is being offered right now in Lebanon. In Lebanon, we are currently facing many different challenges. Since 2020 till now, every year we've had many different challenges, and currently we have been the South has been at a constant state of war. So this was being part of such a project to support teachers is a great opportunity in order to ensure that everyone has the chance to learn and to reach that quality education that everyone wants to have.
Thank you so much, Sarah, and thank all three. Your last words here, Sarah, really lead us well into our first question. The vision of the Education Mega Pledge of the Global Refugee Forum is all refugee children have access to safe, quality, and relevant education opportunities and are included in national education systems. With this vision in mind, what would you like people to know about where you are living or where you are from, and how you've adapted to or helping children, youth, teachers adapt to the national education system? So if somebody wants to jump in, we can all kind of take a turn. Feel free. Sarah, would you like to start?
Yes. So as a follow-up on what I have been talking about, and Lebanon currently hosts many refugees from many different backgrounds, whether it was Syrian refugees, Iraqi refugees, Palestinian refugees, and they all have been integrated into the public sector, into the education system. However, the education system itself was not changed in order to adapt students from those different backgrounds. So it was the responsibility of the teachers who are teaching those students, whether within the same classroom as the national students or in the afternoon shifts or at non-formal centers, to adapt the education curriculum in a way that adapts to their needs. I have been myself teaching refugees, Syrian refugees and Palestinian refugees, in both in schools and in non-formal centers. And the way to it was for us to educate and to develop our skills and selves from different with different skills in order for us to integrate those into the curriculum that we are teaching. So we had to create lesson plans that actually has both components from the national curriculum and from what we are learning in order to adapt to the needs of those students. And one of the ways into it for me was creating a student leadership community back when I started working with Teach for Lebanon and Teach for All. It was a great way to connect with so many teachers around the world and to learn from them and to take that experience in order to integrate it into my classrooms while I was working with students from many different backgrounds. And then I started working with not only with students but also with teachers from refugee backgrounds who also are working like me, working with students from that backgrounds. And it was very important because it makes a difference in a way that we need to deal with students, and also in a way that we need to deal with our own needs when we are dealing with students from the refugee backgrounds. And currently, right now in Lebanon, we have internally displaced students, which are students that had to move from the south into other regions in order to stay away from the all current events that have been happening in the south. So currently, our schools are hosting students from many different backgrounds with many different needs. So what our teachers currently doing is integrating, whether it was social emotional learning or differentiated instructions or ways of understanding well-being in order to meet the needs of those students.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sarah. VNA, did you want to jump in? I think you are muted still.
Yeah, education is the key. Is the key we need today because it is the very backbone in every achievement attempt. In the camp, I would like first of all to talk about education in Kakuma refugee camp because many people think that they know really about education in the camp. Do they really? Indeed, safe, quality, relevant, and inclusive education is very much needed, is very much sung. But I think there are pledges which don't work. Here in Kakuma, when I look at the lack of adequate infrastructures and very poor condition of the existing ones, their poor equipment, the overcrowdedness of classrooms with, for example, 200 kids in a class with without any desks, most of them sitting on the floor. Majority of the teaching staff being unqualified refugees and digitally illiterate. Absence of Wi-Fi, or when it is available, it is the poorest. A wanting teacher well-being. This one I cannot talk much about it, but I can give a reference that is INE guidance note on teacher well-being, which was published in 2022. Fees, because in the camp, students have to pay fees, school fees, but not that high. But some cannot actually afford it easily. That is why we observe some dropouts. Kakuma is a harsh environment. I have to say this because it is true. It is dusty, it is windy, and it is very hot. In Kakuma camp, we have a very growing insecurity, most of the time caused by refugees themselves. We have tribal clashes. We have a social cultural beliefs which bring in some kind of insecurity. And sometimes we have even armed people, armed bandits. So I don't think they cross Kenyan borders with those guns. Maybe it is outside the refugee camp. So that is about insecurity. And the most important thing is the type of learner. People who talk about education in the camps, in the refugee camps, do they really think about the type of learner we are dealing with? These are very special learners because some of them got traumatized, pertaining to the situations, the experiences they went through in their countries of origin when they succeeded in fleeing. Some are depressed. Some live in extreme poverty, and others in the quest for identity. As I've said that we have also social and cultural beliefs, namely affecting the girls. So in that very context, what have we been doing? When I joined the Quality Holistic Learning Project, I was overwhelmed, almost about to resign, unable to contain students' behaviors, who had no more interest at all in studies, who would even surrender for alcoholism and could fight against each other and even their teachers. That was very common. Therefore, the teacher circles that was even initiated by Quality Holistic Learning Project, we formed them, though not very much consistent, of course, because of means, but they were very helpful because they help to acquire in practice better approaches in putting the learner at the center of the learning, teaching with fun, which resulted also in participating in the co-writing of a number of open educational resources that fit this particular environment. We have some example of a handbook on quality holistic learning, social and emotional learning, which was written, of course, to support the new curriculum that is competency-based curriculum in Kenya. differentiated instruction, asset-based pedagogies, and many others. We have a good library online for a wide sharing. So we conducted teacher-to-teacher professional workshops, and at least 2 teachers per school has 2 trained teachers. Okay, trained, I mean holistically, let me say holistically. At least we have 2 teachers per school in the camp. Unfortunately, we have a lot of movement. They come, they go, they come, they go, but at least something happened. And it is not enough, unfortunately. Fourth is the financial capabilities. Otherwise, it should be a customized routine beyond Kakuma and Kenya, because it is needed. Even in my country, Burundi, a country I know very well. I served there as a teacher for 8 years. I know I was the biggest man in the class who knew everything, where students have nothing to say but listening to me and just following my instructions. I think I can stop here.
Thank you so much, Vianney. Tatiana?
Well, I have listened to Sarah and to Vianney and understood that they are really devoted teachers who do everything possible to make teaching and learning happen, and that's great. Well, thanks God, we are living in free, independent European country, and we have enough academic freedom for adapting all our standards within the contexts in which we are working. You see, Ukraine is a big country, and we're having a rather difficult situation with education in Ukraine now because the war has already been lasting for a year and 9 months. And I can say that there are 3 most typical situations: education of children in the areas from which are from time to time shelled and bombed, then areas bordering with the occupied territory, Russia and Belarus, which are shelled badly almost every day, and in the occupied territory. And I haven't mentioned one more type of area, it's zone of active war hostilities. But there are schools, almost all schools, they are destroyed, and no people, no children left. Overall, in Ukraine, more than 1,300 schools were damaged and destroyed. As for universities, there are 43, if I am not mistaken. I took the figures from our statistical data. So a lot of educational institutions are damaged or destroyed totally. And at the very beginning of the war, all educational institutions had some holidays because we didn't understand what was happening, and those holidays lasted for 2-4 weeks depending on the region, and then all schools, all universities went on their study process online. Now the situation is different depending on the frequency of shelling and bombing. Children want to obtain quality education. And there are a lot of difficult cases, but I will describe just one case when with an applicant to our university from an occupied territory. There was created a university by occupiers government there, but the aim of that education is Russian ideology and propaganda. The girl understood that, but she wanted to get quality education, and she secretly applied, she secretly entered our university, and she is learning online now, but her parents even don't know about that fact. And I would like to tell you that learning and teaching from the occupied territory for those people, for those students, for those teachers is very dangerous, because Russian soldiers come to people and imprison them. I just want to say that we adapt all we can. We change our programs. Of course, my participating in the project of Childhood Education International helped me to focus on paying attention to students' well-being, to their psychological state, psycho-emotional state, and that's very important. And every little thing matters a lot for those children, for those students. And I won't get into many details, but I would like to tell you that we try to be flexible and to be very, very attentive to our children, because the war is really very great damage to people's well-being. Thank you.
Thank you, three, for your amazing answers and your honesty and clarity around this situation and each of the situations, or many situations, that you have adapted to, that teachers have adapted to. It's incredibly impressive. And Sarah, I'll quote you saying that the system doesn't adapt, the teachers do. And the commitment, as Tatiana, as you highlighted from the other two, the strong commitment that all teachers have, and that passion for not only education but for the students. I think as all three of you really highlighted. We're going to move a little bit ahead to your hopes for the Global Refugee Forum and beyond, as our title suggests. So what do you hope? It is a moment in time, as we've talked about. It is a few days. However, it can have an incredible impact, and with so many people coming together, and hopefully amplifying voices such as your own, and sharing what the reality is in schools and in country, whether that's in camp or displaced context, whatever it may be. So we'll go to that question. What is your hope for the Global Refugee Forum and beyond? And Vianney, would you like to start with this one?
Yes, thank you. I'll be very brief indeed. My hope, first of all, is that quality education for all will be given the importance in that forum. Because I think that nobody actually benefits from any migration situation. No, that's why education should be emphasized. It should be
Vianney,
given importance.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Your audio is a little choppy.
For all the those who need education in the refugee camp. And most importantly,
Vianney, I'm not sure if you can hear me. Your audio is a little bit choppy, maybe frozen right now. I'd like to come back to you if we can, and go to Sarah.
Yes, thank you. So if there's one thing that I've learned through my engagement in the QHPLL project and the QHL project is the amount of impact teachers can do when you co-create, co-lead, and empower teachers and elevate their voices. The amount of change that teachers can do is because they are the ones on the ground, they are the ones who are dealing with the students, they are the first ones who are impacted by anything that happens, if anything in the country happens in terms of economic crisis or non-continuous education or anything else. So it's them and the students that are always frontliners in everything. So if there's something that I would hope for, I would hope to believe and empower teachers to listen to them and to allow them to speak, and not to speak for them, but to actually to allow them to speak, to allow them to transmit their own ideas in their own words, to take into account their experiences and everything that they are going through, them and their students, and to believe that what they say is the best that can do to elevate the education system in any country. So believe more in teachers, empower them.
Thank you, Sarah. Tatiana?
Well, answering your question, I would like to emphasize that maybe my words will be too idealistic. I want that forum could help to stop all the wars in the world, to give all the children equal access to quality education. I understand that to do that, the world's main value should be people's lives, education opportunities for personal and professional development. When the war started in Ukraine, when people in the occupied territories underwent tortures from the occupiers, when now people are imprisoned by them just for staying Ukrainians, I've understood that there are many people being unhappy, made to leave their native home, who lost access to education and other services all over the world. So when such evil doesn't touch you, you don't think about that. And that's really important for us to understand. That's really a big problem, because all over the world there are the wars. Well, we understand that there are other evils such as the pandemic, for example, but it's so terrible when people destroy themselves. And at the same time, we understand that many other very rich people go on making money on the blood. And there should be an effective global policy making those aggressive countries be responsible for the evil they bring to this world in their insatiable thirst for the power and for the territories. So I pray for the times when we all may live in peace and prosperity on our native lands, enjoying our children's happy childhood and equal access to comfortable homes, education, and culture. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tatiana, and appreciate the optimism and the idealism and the idea of listening to teachers. Sarah, thank you so much for that. And I never underestimate the power of both working together, collaborating, the collective action idea, and also teachers. Really never underestimate teachers, I would say. I don't think that VNA has been able to rejoin. If he is, and we can hear from him, I'd love to add him at the end.
Yeah.
I think we're going to move into, oh, here he is.
I'm ready.
Ta-da! Excellent, wonderful, thank you, perfect timing.
Yeah, thank you. I would just like to conclude by saying that I would like to beg that education pledges should not just be songs, that education stakeholders walk their talks and go real on the field, because quality education is the only remaining hope for restoring global peace, prosperity, and then uprooting of forced migrations. Indeed, large masses of people are misled because of ignorance or poor education. That is, and the result is poverty and all of these vices that we live in this world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, VNA. Appreciate it. Okay, we are going to move into the CE International pledges, and I'm going to turn things over to Yvette.
Go ahead and share the screen. Thank you all for your stories and sharing the work that you're doing. In presenting our pledges, it's not lost on me that both the reality, but also the idealism that we're trying to motivate us in order to continue the work and support the work that you all are doing. So here we are before the GRF, and we are going. The two pledges that we are submitting ahead of the GRF will be aligning with the collective vision of the GRF Education Alliance, and they are committed to ensuring all refugees have access to safe, quality, and relevant education opportunities and are included in national education systems. And so toward that vision for all refugee learners, I'm going to present our two pledges with targets over the next 5 years. The first pledge commits to providing quality, holistic, continuous professional development for pre-primary through secondary school educators who are impacted by emergency, crisis, displacement, migration, and refugee contexts, and creating pathways to entering the teaching profession within national education systems. Our 5-year target is to support the learning journeys of 20,000 educators through open educational resources, a variety of learning events, communities of practice, and other opportunities, importantly created by teachers for teachers, as Sarah was saying, in alignment with national education initiatives and in collaboration with key partners. There's a lot of text there, and I'm just summarizing it. So it'll be available to you after our webinar. And so if we could go to the second pledge. See International's second pledge captures the measurable ways we will advocate for and increase awareness about the importance of integrating inclusive early childhood development and education and early intervention in intersectoral responses to crises and displacement for our youngest and most vulnerable children, so that they may have access to quality, holistic, inclusive, national and local early childhood systems that uphold their rights and promote safety and protection. We will accomplish this through our various communication platforms and publications to reach at least 15,000 child development leaders, educators, and other education leaders over the next 5 years through the distribution of resources, events, reports, and other articles. In addition, as members of GRF Education Alliance working group, See International has reviewed pledging guidance and aligned our pledges to the broader commitments of other stakeholders. So we also anticipate endorsing multi-stakeholder pledges and continuing to align our work with them beyond the GRF in order to grow their impact and reach. We look forward to continuing the conversation with all of you after the GRF to support the inclusion of refugees within national education systems. Please continue to follow us beyond this webinar and watch our website for more actions that you can take with us. And then now, Meg, I'm going to pass it over to you to talk a little bit about our programs and to close us out.
Great. Thank you so much, Yvette. As our three panelists referenced their projects and as participants in our projects current and past, we are currently working with Pathways to Teaching Project, the Ukrainian-US Education Co-Learning Journey, professional development courses for early childhood educators in Ukraine, holistic learning in Lebanon, and the Refugee Educator Foundations of Practice courses, just to highlight that these are co-learning and co-creation opportunities for us. We are working with those in country and teachers, of course, to advance these projects and to add the contextual knowledge that they bring and expertise to these projects. We also reference the Open Educational Resources Library. This is located at the link below. And these are multilingual open education resources. They are, again, co-created to support the professional development of educators in displacement contexts, and the languages are listed. So please feel free to check those out. And as we close, I just want to go back to Diane opening and talking about action, and not only spoken but taken. And VNA highlighted this as well, that we walk the walk, and hoping that in education and in displacement contexts and throughout the world that we are walking the walk in education. And as Sarah said, that listen to teachers, to hear what they have to say, and to follow their lead when it comes to what is happening in the classroom as we look at our hopes and the pledges that are made. And we'd like to invite you all to consider how you will support and uplift the national education systems that are pledging to highlight and enforce inclusion and belonging of all refugee students. And we invite you to work on that, to think about what your part is and how you can be present in those efforts as well. Again, this is a moment in time, but it can have an incredible impact and carry forward. So with that, we will wrap up. Please feel free to contact us. Our contact information is on the in the chat, or on the last slide, I believe, if you would like to follow up with any of us. We really appreciate you being here and being part of this event, and hope that you will follow along on this journey as well.
I'm going to go ahead and, if we can go ahead and drop our emails into the chat, so that all of you can, it's easier for the audience to just, let's see here.
They're there. The emails
Okay,
are
they are
there.
there. Okay, sorry about that. Didn't see
There's
it.
also a closing question for everyone, with our thanks, to ask you to share how you are involved, how you'd like to get involved. Thank you so much, Meg, Yvette, Vianney, Sara, and Tatiana, for the conversation today.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.